With thousands of gurus fighting for your attention, these are the 7 who are actually worth your time and why. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You've heard that before, right? In one ear and out the other. But it turns out it's been proven by science. Your relationships literally rewire your brain, your focus, your habits, even your future. Studies show that if you hang out with fat people, you're gonna get fat. You hang out with rich people, you're gonna start getting rich. Hang out with godly people, and you're gonna become more godly. So the real question is, who's shaping you? Take an honest look at your circle of people. Are they lifting you up or are they dragging you down? If we're honest, we can admit that our circle is either bringing us down or, best case, not lifting us up enough, right? But here's the secret. Today, you can massively upgrade your crew. Today, right now. And that's because the people you spend your time with, they don't have to be IRL. For those of you who are 20 or older, that means in real life. The world of books, podcasts, videos, like this show, The Download, can be your crew. I've got real life mentors. I met with one this morning. We had real coffee at a real coffee shop, and we laughed and we cried and we shared deeply about business and life and godliness. But those are hard to come by, and they don't happen often enough. But today, right now, you can have the most incredible mentors. The gurus of the world can be your circle for free. On this episode of The Download, I want to introduce you to the 7 gurus who I've never met, but have helped fundamentally shape my life, my faith, and my business. And if you let them, they might just help transform yours as well. One of them is ultra famous, but looked down upon. One is a billionaire, and one doesn't take vacations, and the last one changed my life the most. Let's start with Tony Robbins. My exposure to Tony Robbins started with his book, Awaken the Giant. I don't remember much of what was said in the actual book, but I remember vividly how it made me feel. His words ignited something that had gone dormant inside of me, a calling to greatness, not a greatness defined by outward success, not a greatness defined by money, but the calling to fulfill the potential that I knew God had placed inside of me. I don't know if Tony Robbins is a Christian or not, but his content has consistently inspired me to run the race set out before me, to endure, to not let myself off the hook, to align myself with God's gifting and calling in my life, and to give this one life that I have all that I've got.
The beginning of progress is getting clarity about what it is you want, really want, and then being clear where you are. And later on, you got to be clear where you are so you know the gap. Because the dynamic tension of knowing what you want versus where you are will make a part of you want to snap into what's true. What's the second action step you got to take? Your goal is crush, destroy, annihilate, and replace any story of limitation. In other words, break the pattern of the limiting story you have in your life that's gotten in the way of your relationship, or your body being where you want to be, or your finances being where you are, or your business, or your level of happiness. Because the only thing keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you don't have it.
We can break limiting beliefs and connect with a deeper purpose. It reminds me of the command in Deuteronomy 6:5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Are you finding yourself uninspired, complacent, disconnected from the larger calling? Tony is an incredible resource for targeted inspiration, practical tactics, and life skills that will drive you into eternal calling and passion for accomplishing everything you were put on this earth to do. My friends, you are God's masterpiece. You know that? He planned good things for you to do, to feel, good things for you to be from before time began. Okay, so that's Tony Robbins. Next, we move back in time to Tony's mentor, Jim Rohn. Jim is the guy behind the guy. You'll find many of your favorite thought leaders or business gurus, they were mentored by Jim, or they were heavily influenced by him. He's got an old-timey way of talking, but sometimes that's just what we need. A reminder that truth is truth, no matter if it comes from a guy with bad hair and a funny way of talking, or a more polished and current guru like some of the others on this list.
Here's the big challenge of life. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That's the challenge. And of course, the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got. I have found in my experience that income does not far exceed personal development.
The first time I heard Jim Rohn say, "Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better," man, that hit hard. Aren't we all just so guilty of wanting something outside of us to change? We constantly look to our circumstances, our childhood, our family, and we think if only they would change, then I could be something. Jim calls us to a self-reflection and a personal responsibility for the world we are creating. We call it today, we call it radical ownership. Jim was the guy who made this idea famous. Lead yourself, he says. Commit to growth. Don't make excuses. Don't quit. Chew on these gems from the master of self-help. We must all suffer one or two things: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Successful people have libraries. The rest of us have big screen TVs. One of the gifts you can give to anyone is the gift of your attention. Don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. If you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Which leads us to our next guru, who I'm sure many of you have not heard of. Her name is Loral Langemeier. Loral is a treasure trove of practical financial and business knowledge. She teaches like the real world basics that every entrepreneur and wealth builder needs, but most of us never learned. Things like how and why to incorporate, how to structure your money, how to build passive income, how to think like an investor, not just an earner. She's not flashy. She's not trying to be viral, but her content can change your entire financial trajectory if you take it seriously. I love how Loral demystifies money. She doesn't just talk about abundance like it's some mythical energy. She shows you how to create it, steward it, and multiply it. And that's deeply biblical. In the parable of the talents, Jesus praises the servant who invested and returned more than what they were given. Loral teaches how to do that today with wisdom and without shame. She also brings a refreshing boldness to the table. She doesn't apologize for talking about money, and she doesn't want you to apologize for building wealth either. Not to buy jets, but to create freedom, impact, and legacy. Listen to her take on debt. Spoiler alert, it's the opposite of Dave Ramsey.
Why is debt my favorite income? Because it's free if you do it my way. You say, oh, debt costs a lot of money. No, debt's just the cost of money. So when you can get 0% financing, which if you actually knew what you were doing and knew the strategies that I know, and all of you can employ them, you stay at 0% for 21 months. You pay it off, you stay at 0% for the rest of your life. So then you take that 0% money and you go invest it at 12, 15, 20%. That's printing money. And it's not difficult. It's different. And debt is your best friend and it's free income.
If you've been stuck in a fear mindset about money, if you've been wondering whether it's even godly to build wealth, start here. Loral will teach you how to think, plan, and act like someone who believes that God has more for you than just survival. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Proverbs 21:5. You may say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth. Deuteronomy 8:17 and 18. You don't need to feel behind. You just need to begin. And Loral will show you how. Which brings us to our youngest and hungriest guru, Alex Hormozi. Alex is this wildly successful dude who just seems to have all the answers. He and I see some things differently, but what I love about this guy is he knows what he loves and he does everything to make it happen. He's going to be a billionaire soon by working insanely hard and getting better and making his companies better every single day. He has the courage to absolutely obsess about what he loves, which is business. He's just all in. He wakes up in the morning and he immediately starts to work. He is just finishing his third major book while operating a hugely successful private equity company where he buys and operates companies. He doesn't have kids. He doesn't go out. He doesn't take vacations. He barely takes days off. And it works for him. He's unashamed about what he's striving for, and he's building an incredible brand around his content and his business. Due to this maniacal and single-minded focus, he's growing at an incredible pace. You'll notice this focus, this work ethic in many famous entrepreneurs. Steve Jobs was like this. Elon Musk is like this. And although that is not my path, I'm thankful for these guys. Alex has some of the most astute business advice in our entrepreneurial ecosystem today. He is a true business savant, fashioned from bankruptcy, coming from the bottom. He has next level business smarts and just plain hard work. Now, is this what you should do? Is this the life that you want? Should you try to be like Alex Hormozi? No vacations, no kids, no social life, no church, no faith? Maybe not. But we can learn from him. Truth is truth. Where he gets up and goes into a closet and writes his next book for the next 4 hours, I get up and I go into my kid's closet to try to find clean socks for school today. I believe in giving it all I've got. I just prioritize what that is in a different way. One of my main ways of multiplying is these 3 humans that God has given me. My family is my priority. But when I do work, when I sit down and do this, when I do this show, I do it with everything that I've got. I'm inspired by Alex to do it with incredible focus and attention to detail. Listen to this clip from him. He's not normally this depressed sounding, but this is him giving a 1-sentence pitch on how to be successful.
Figure out what you want, ignore the opinions of others, and do so much volume that it would be unreasonable that you would be unsuccessful.
He is a master at optimizing the work you do, and it's foolish of us not to do the same. I think of the Apostle Paul. He didn't have kids. He didn't have a wife. He even recommended that some of us shouldn't get married or have kids so that we could give more time to God's calling. I'm personally not called to be exactly like Apostle Paul or Alex, but I do want to be more like them in many ways. Which leads us to our next guru of hustle, Gary V. Gary Vaynerchuk can see the future. He's particularly obsessed with attention, where it's going, where it's headed, why it matters, and how to capture it. Check him out with one of his current predictions.
How many people here have used ChatGPT or an AI thing? I don't think people realize that Alexa and Google Home and Apple Home are about to use this for real. I don't think people realize it's gonna look like this. Hey Alexa, I have 6 of my son's friends coming over. 2 are lactose intolerant. 1 is vegan. 3 are a mess, and I'd like them to eat a little healthier. I only have a couple $100 in budget, and they'll be here for about 4 or 5 hours, but I also need something quick and snacky in the morning because they're gonna sleep over, and I wanna send them home with something. Send it. That's how people are gonna shop. So what I just said is real life in 5, 7, 9, 10 years.
Gary was one of the original hustle guys. The hustle guru telling people to post, for example, on every platform at all times. As I've mentioned, I'm not a hustle culture guy. I don't believe in working all the time. I don't believe in sacrificing family or faith for financial success. But if you listen closely, Gary is the guy when it comes to what is working today in terms of marketing, social media, and content. He's got this incredible track record of predicting everything from the rise of Facebook and Instagram and now TikTok. He was telling everyone to start posting on TikTok when it was still called Musical.ly. He has his ear to the ground and he knows when the train is coming. If you want to know where you should be focusing your marketing efforts, Gary is the guy. He knows before everyone else and he's proven it over and over again. I've also been really affected by his idea called Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's the name of one of his books. This is the idea that we give before we go in for the sale. In my world, I call that service. Give abundantly to reap abundantly. In a world that often looks like taking as much as we can, he teaches the same thing I believe, which is give. And now let's zoom out to a much maligned Canadian psychologist, Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is the smartest guy in the room. He's made waves throughout culture over the last decade as a psychologist who truly just cuts through the noise and sees under the hood. All right, if you're interested in how humans operate, why we do the things we do, and what it all means, he's your guy. What's been incredible to witness is his evolution over the last few years as a man of faith. It appears he was the sort of typical academic intellectual, probably agnostic. But his own exploration of truth with a capital T has led him to the Bible and to what appears to be a faith in Jesus Christ. Listen to this clip of him talking about the Bible.
And so it isn't that the Bible is true. It's that the Bible is the precondition for the manifestation of truth, which makes it way more true than just true. It's a whole different kind of true. And I think this is not only literally the case, factually, I think it can't be any other way. It's the only way we can solve the problem of perception.
Man, that's good. You know why this inspires me so much? A man is wrestling with God, like Jacob, and he's finding from a strictly scientific and intellectual entrance point that faith in Jesus of the Bible is the way. He was just quoted on the Diary of the CEO, and the host said, "So do you believe that Jesus is God?" And Jordan said, "Yes." And beyond all that, his faith journey, he's incredibly courageous. He's been brutally attacked in culture and in society for articulating fundamental truths from a purely logical and scientific perspective on subjects like family, sexual identity, personal responsibility, the importance of religion and faith, the importance of intellectual honesty. So, do you find yourself struggling with your identity, your man or womanhood? Do you struggle with motivation, with faith and morality? Jordan is a goldmine. He's paid the price from modern culture for speaking the truth, and he is worth a listen. And now the final guru for today, the one who reshaped my idea about everything, the one who made faith in modern times make sense, and that's Tim Keller. Tim Keller has influenced me more than any other guru on this list. As a young guy living in New York City, climbing that first mountain of life, I found his church and was blown away by the depth of his teaching. He merges an understanding of modern life, modern people, today's struggles and challenges with ancient wisdom from the Bible. Have you struggled to intellectually embrace a 2,000-year-old book that claims God's Son came down to earth, lived a perfect life, died for humanity to save us from sin? Have you struggled with wondering if God is even real? Have you thought your way out of a saving faith in Jesus? This is your guy. You can find the most compelling explanations of why we are here, what this life is about, how to live in relationship with other humans and the God of the universe in Tim's sermons and books. Tim talks a lot about identity. He talks about how Western culture indoctrinates us into certain identity frameworks. For example, how we value work and find our identity in work, and how Christ is the only real path to happiness or abundance. But let's hear it in his own words.
Work is a means to an end. In Western culture, work is an end in itself because we're an individualistic culture. And that means we're told in 100 million different ways from the time we're little, you can be anything you want to be. You have to decide who you want to be and then be it. And so we get our self-worth through our work. That becomes our identity. And as a result, you really get enslaved. If work is your identity, if you're successful, it goes to your head. If you're a failure, it goes to your heart. If work is your identity and you get successful, it destroys you because it makes you full of yourself. You have to have a deep identity, a deep certainty of your worth. You have to have a sense of your value grounded in something not your performance and not in your work. It's got to be in Christ.
And those are the 7 friends, mentors, gurus that I would recommend for each of you to make your friends. There is a lifetime of content online for you to consume. Choose wisely. In closing, I wanted to say we live in incredible times. There was a time not too long ago where there was very little access to knowledge. We live in a time with infinite access. But this means that the standards are high. We are no longer able to live an easy life where we farm alongside our parents or whatever. And we live in, the same community. We live in an age where the choices are endless. And this requires us to level up or get left behind. This is why life feels so hard for most of us. I understand. I feel that too. These are not simple times. Are you feeling called to level up? To embrace a higher calling? Are you feeling the gentle but persistent tug of God on your heart? You know you're living with more lack than you could. You know you are stuck when all abundance is available to you. These 7 mentors are here to walk with you, to talk you to sleep, to sit with you at lunch, to turn your commute from wasted time to wisdom time. This is why I started the download. I went from a poverty mindset, from living a life of lack, from wondering how in the world I was going to provide for my family, to a life abundantly aligned with God and an unlocking of major financial blessings by spending time with these 7 mentors. When my wife says, hey, can you go to the store? I jump at it. You know why? Because I get 15 extra minutes with my mentors. I immediately hit play on the latest Hormozi book, or I'm listening to Jordan Peterson's podcast. As soon as I finish recording this podcast, I'll jump in my truck and go to get my daughter from school and crank up some next level mentorship. If you like this content, you're going to love the episode I did on the 7 books that made me a millionaire. Click here. It's our most liked episode so far, and you should queue it up for your next trip to the store. And lastly, I'm honored you spent this time with me today. We're all busy, and I don't take it lightly. My prayer is that God is using this show to open up pathways of abundance in your life. I've heard from many of you that it's true. People's lives are being changed. I originally resisted doing this show. It's something I take very seriously and prayerfully. I'm doing my best to tap into the specific challenges you are facing and tackle them with biblical wisdom, hard-fought, practical money insights, and love. Because without love, we got nothing. If you want to connect with me personally, you can comment below. I personally respond to every comment, or you can go to judsonmorgan.com and find our newsletter where we will send out emails packed with the same value and insight. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we'd be honored if you did so. Life is hard, and God's plan is for us to do it together. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all the rest will be given. And that's the pod.